Hello art students, this is Mrs. Brandt here. Today I'm going to talk to you about composition and creating your visual journal cover. Composition is the manner in which forms, lines, colors, and other elements and/or principles of an artwork are arranged. For you to fully understand composition, you have to have an understanding of the elements of art and the principles of art. The elements of art include line, color, shape, texture, space, form, and value. The principles of art are how you use those elements of art to create things like unity, balance, proportion, emphasis, variety, movement, and rhythm. Today in this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about 4 different composition tips. These include selecting a focal point to emphasize, creating balance by evenly distributing the weight of objects, using the rule of thirds to divide your composition, and leading the viewer's eye with repeated lines, colors, and shapes. A focal point is the part of the artwork that the artist wants you to notice first. The artist will usually emphasize the focal point of an artwork in some way. They might make it larger, a different color, or even place it in a certain location. If we take a look at this artwork by Kara Walker, we can see that the focal point is probably the large black silhouette that's in the center of this artwork. Inside that silhouette, we can even see another focal point of a cutout of another silhouette that lets us peek to some part of the background that could be important to this artwork. The second tip, creating balance by evenly distributing the weight of objects, can be seen in this artwork by Rashid Johnson. Balance is created when an artist equally distributes the weight of the parts of an artwork. Sometimes we say that an artwork is symmetrical if the two sides of the artwork are exactly the same. We also use the term asymmetrical when the work is balanced but not the same on both sides. This artwork looks like it might be symmetrical because if we consider the column of what appear to be faces in the center being the middle, we can see that there's an even number on both sides of that. If you look closely at what appear to be these scratchy looking faces, you can see that they all look slightly different. But this artist did a great job creating something that appears to be very well balanced. The third tip was using the rule of thirds to divide the composition. The rule of thirds is how the artist uses a tic-tac-toe grid to divide the composition. The most important parts of the composition are usually located at the intersection of the lines and not necessarily in the middle of the artwork. Since this is a portrait of a person by Kehinde Wiley, we can see that at the intersection on the top left, the viewer is directed to see the subject's face. This is a successful use of the rule of thirds. The last tip that we'll talk about is leading the viewer's eye with repeated lines, colors, or shapes. In order for the artist to encourage the viewer to look around the entire artwork, the artist will repeat these shapes and colors and include lines that seem to point to something important. Deliberate choices like this can lead the viewer's eye to what the artist wants them to see. In this quilt by Faith Ringgold, we can see several people gathering at a dinner table. The way that she has placed the people in the picture allows the viewer's eye to rotate almost in a clockwise way to see all the different individuals. And then we even notice what's placed on the table in the center. So let's discuss these tips a little bit more deeply. Book covers are an excellent place to see well-used composition techniques. If you look at these 2 book covers, choose one and use one or more of the words in the center of the slide to describe the composition of the book cover. Good job. Now we'll look at 2 more. Again, use one or more of these words in the center of the slide to describe one of these 2 book covers. Let's practice one more time with these last 2 book covers. So composition is one of the rubric criteria that you will be graded with throughout the semester. If you look on the screen, you'll see that we grade with the 4-3-2-1 grading scale. In each of these boxes, you can see what it would take to be considered advanced, proficient, near proficient, or progressing with the composition rubric criteria. If you're proficient, you should be able to say, I planned my composition and thoroughly included the elements and/or principles of art. If you're advanced, you might have taken it a step further, and you can say, I carefully planned my composition by making multiple sketches and thoughtfully including the elements and/or principles of art. So now let's look at the lesson assignment expectations. We already started our visual journal covers last class period, and they were to include your name in a font created with word art, and at least 2 to 5 images that express your personality. What you should do today is arrange your name and those images into an interesting composition while thinking about the 4 tips we just discussed. Be sure to fill the space, and keep in mind that what you're creating you will also be drawing, so you might want to keep it simple. I would discourage you from including photographs that might be too hard to draw. Here are a couple teacher examples so you can see how Ms. Whetstone and I expressed our personalities. And now let's take a look at some student examples. On the next few slides, you'll see student examples. I want you to think about which one you like the most, because at the end you'll be asked to describe why you liked it. After viewing these student examples, think back to the one that you thought was the most interesting. Now describe what you like the most about it. If you need to, you can rewind back and look at them a little bit longer. I hope you have a better understanding of how composition can help you create an interesting visual journal cover. Now for today's assignment, take some time and look at your visual journal cover and see if you can apply some of the same tips. Thanks for watching.